Boots the chemist.
Do you just do that thing where you try them all on the shelf?
No, I just grab 3 and hopefully one fits.
How did you know? You didn't even know your prescription, no?
What?
You didn't even know your prescription.
Just buy them, go for that.
£3 each, just one of each. Sums up, Big Al. How you doing? I'm back from my holiday. Looking forward. 22 shows we got. Let's not waste a moment of it. Martin Kellner and Stuart Pearce alongside me today. Love to hear your stories of that in the Wix phone in today. 08717 223344. 087. No, because you know what's the number? 087. I don't know. I've got a bit jet lagged. 08717 223344. After that part, people are thinking 22 shows. Can you just go now? You getting enough drug cheats?
Basically, my Auntie Bertha only ever went to one football match in her whole life, and it was the 1966 World Cup final. The only match she ever went to. And the family were all, we were all, not we, but, my mum's from Whitechapel, they're all Arsenal or West Ham fans, all keen football. Yeah. Auntie Bertha couldn't care less about football, but she went to the 1966 World Cup final.
So let me ask the obvious question on behalf of the nation. Pray tell, how did Auntie Bertha end up at the 1966 World Cup final?
She worked for Peter Jones, which is part of the John Lewis Group. It was a department store in London in those days, and it was very much, are you being served? She was a floor walker, haberdashery, fourth floor, ladies' underwear, all that sort of stuff. So she did all that, are you being served? She was the Mrs. Slocum of her day, if you like.
Bertha Slocum.
So Auntie Bertha worked there, and because it was part of the John Lewis, which is a cooperative, and they look after their staff, they had a raffle for tickets that they got, as the company, they got hold of some tickets for the World Cup final, and they thought rather than the directors of the company and everything go, we'll have a raffle for the people who, the Mr. Humphreys and the Mrs. Slocums, we'll have a raffle and they can get a ticket. And she won the raffle at Peter Jones, got the ticket, and despite being in a family of fanatical Arsenal, West Ham fans, Spurs fans as well, she decided she was going to have the ticket and go, and she went. It was the only football match she ever went to.
Did she get 2 tickets or just one?
No, it was just one ticket. It was one single ticket. I mean, I don't exactly know how the raffle worked, but I presume there were various tickets, and it was one per person. It wasn't a pair.
It was a Bertha Kellner?
No, Bertha Wald was the name.
Bertha Wald. Off went Auntie Bertha. Yeah. Their first ever football match. It was the 1966 World Cup final. Yeah. England were to win it 4-2.
4-2, yeah.
In emphatic style, It begs the question, what did Bertha need to go to another game?
It does, doesn't it?
I remember the first game I took my wife to was a 0-0 draw at the Etihad between Manchester City and Liverpool, in which there was famously no shots on target. It was one of the first games ever. The second game, I thought, Champions League at Anfield, that'll do it. We were already out by the third home game. It was a dead rubber. There was swathes of empty seats. I can understand why there hasn't been a third game. For Bertha... Yeah. Not to go, and I don't want to speak ill of Bertha, as she passed on.
She has passed on.
So I definitely don't want to speak ill of Auntie Bertha. But why did Auntie Bertha not go to a second game? I have to question that.
I've no idea. Uncle Lou was a baker. He was a very good baker. Nobody in the East End made bagels like Uncle Lou did, and we used to come up with bags full of bagels. Now,
which would have been quite. I would imagine it would have been quite exotic. In 1968, a bagel.
Yeah, the bagels were. In those days, you couldn't just go and get them anywhere.
No.
So he was a baker. But the point I'm making is, on a Saturday, people used to, overnight Saturday, as soon as dusk went, the bagels were started to be baked. So he would have had to go out, I'm just imagining, he would have had to go out to work quite early on a Saturday evening, to get the bagels ready for Sunday morning. So I suspect she maybe had to be around at home, I don't know.
I wonder if she took a bagel to the game with her. A sort of packed lunch type bagel-y thing.
No, because Saturday, you see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Also, as well, bear in mind, if you're not a football lover, and at the end of 90 minutes, that game went to extra time, did she think to herself, oh my good God, I've got to sit through another half hour of this?
Yeah. She probably did. That was probably it. Yeah.
I picture her as quite a well-dressed woman.
Auntie Bertha was. She was well-dressed.
I don't mean it's in a bad way again, so I'll talk ill about your dead auntie. But I would
good
imagine
news for you is that once you're dead, you can't sue.
So that's good news. She would have felt a little above it, maybe.
Maybe she was.
She wore Peter Jones in the fourth floor ladies' underwear.
And always very well dressed and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
And makeup.
She probably wore fur to the '66 World Cup final.
A fur collar, possibly.
Yeah.
Like a fur collar, or maybe something with an astrakhan collar, as people used to wear in those days.
She'd have probably stuck out in that footballing crowd, because I'm guessing she wouldn't have had a great seat or a great stand. She'd have probably stood up, wouldn't she, behind the goal?
Very well have done. The detail of this, as I say, my brother only told me the story yesterday, so I don't know the full details of it, but I can't picture it.
I wonder, could we pay someone to go through the footage of the '66 World Cup final and see could we find any footage of Aunt Bertha?
Yeah, she would.
And imagine you're surprised when we find footage of Aunt Bertha throwing a coin at Franz Beckenbauer.
What happens if we went through the whole footage and she wasn't at the stadium? Where was she on that day? 9 months later.
Well, Uncle Lou is no longer with us.
Great, he can't
9 months later, she had a child called Franz.
There you go, Auntie Bertha. A story from '66 you've never heard before. Peter's mum went shopping on the day of the '66 final. She often tells the story. She asked the greengrocer, why was the shop so empty? Where was everybody? Because, of course, if you don't like football, wouldn't have meant anything to you. And Lee says it's Auntie Bertha, the original glory hunter of football, you know. He says glory chaser. We used to say glory hunter and all. And Uncle Louis Bagels as well. A lot of people are talking about those. And Tom says bagels were exotic in the 1960s. What do you mean? It's true. I mean, I didn't see a bagel until I don't know what I should say. I don't think I'd seen a bagel until I would have moved to London. I didn't have a bagel growing up.
No, you wouldn't have done. You wouldn't have done that. They became sort of popular as a sort of general food stuff around about the 80s, I would have said.
Why were you eating them in the late 60s?
It was a Jewish thing in those days, you know. But
like a canadle?
Yeah, well, not really that much like a canadle.
No, not like a thing.
You put those in your chicken soup. Bagels you have with you know, with cream cheese and smoked
salmon. I do like a canadle soup.
Yeah, it's nice.
Nice,
lovely.
That.
Yeah.
Matzah?
Yeah. But those were all, Matt says, unleavened bread.
That's nice as well.
That's very nice.
I have a few Jewish friends, so I've eaten a lot of that.
Yeah, well, you will have done. But in those days, it was a purely ethnic food, and in Britain, ethnic food was hardly known. Yeah. You know, we didn't have cafes where you could go and buy a smart car. You're getting funny tweets there over Auntie Bertha.
No, but Uncle Lou, people have moved on.
I'm not sure.
Did he have a shop called? People are asking. There's a shop called Louis Bagel Mambo Number 5. Can we have that as the afternoon tune today? Louis Bagel Mambo Number 5. There you go. There's the afternoon tune.
Sorry. I'm not just thinking of it. Just in case any of my relatives are listening, I'm not sure Wald was the name. It was my mum's maiden name, but Bertha was obviously married to Lou, and I can't remember what Lou's name
Bagel.
Was,
Louis Bagel.
It should be. But you didn't have shops with cute names in those days.
No, exactly. No.
Louis Bagel.
Like my favourite one ever. It was closed as well. I think it might have been in Hull, but I can't remember. I was in a city centre. It was closed as it should have been closed. It was Con Hair, which is my favourite name of a shop with a stupid name. Stephen says, is Auntie Bertha the movie coming out? Probably should be now. And Steve says, actually, of course, she wouldn't have stood out at all because most of the men would have been wearing their best suits to go to the football. In '66, so people used to dress up for it anyway.
They did. The earlier cup finals, of course, everybody had a flat cap because that was the law. In the 40s, you had to have a flat cap or you weren't allowed to go into a football match.
Is there any way, using your Nokia 3310, you could get a picture of Auntie Bertha? I'd love to know what Auntie Bertha looked like, not in any weird way.
Yeah.
Just not in any, not in a creepy way.
Very neat looking, as I recall.
I bet she was classical looking. What's your image of Auntie Bertha, Stuart, in your head? If you could describe Auntie Bertha now, what she look like?
5'4", very neat, fur collar, dark hair.
Yeah, that's actually quite close.
Yeah,
it was a sort of brown
hourglass figure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a chunky woman.
During this period, I was very young. I was, if you know what I mean. And when you're growing up, family dues when you're sort of 8, 9, 10 years old, you get an image of the female form, which maybe stays with you. I mean, I'm not a trained
Auntie Bertha stood out.
I'm not a trained psychologist in any way, but I would think that those images of the female form that you get in that very early, perhaps in a way, they dictate the form your romantic life takes over. It's a good job you're leaving, actually.
Can't be soon enough for you, Martin, at the moment.
Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away